Hey Jackets fans, and welcome to Boom and Gloom. This, of course, is a Columbus Blue Jackets fan podcast where I discuss the boom, the good, and the gloom, the bad, of CBJ hockey. And let me tell you, I have a lot of gloom to talk about today. I am your host, Anthony, Ohio's longest-suffering hockey fan. You can find me on social media using the handle WhalerJacket. And just before I get started, I just want to let you know that I am battling pneumonia. I've had it it's been like 6 weeks now. This has been awful. But my voice is not what it usually is, so please bear with me. Anyway, when I last spoke to you on this platform, I had a lot of negative things to say about the team. Shortly after that, the team rattled off a 4-game winning streak. Let me tell you, that was one of the most unimpressive 4-game winning streaks I have ever seen. They clung to dear life against St. Louis to hang on for the victory, to cite one example. And now we're back on the losing side, falling in our last 2 games to the Islanders and the Flames. The team with the worst record in the league, I might add. And I'll get into that shortly. I want to start off by talking about the Islanders game. Something very specific, actually. The Jackets were up 2-1, even though they did not deserve to be. Well, they're up 2-1, and Werenski puts the puck in the net to go up 3-1. But no. The refs called it no goal on the ice due to goaltender interference. I watched the replay several times. Coyle gets pushed into their goaltender by a defenseman. In my opinion, my very strong opinion, that goal should have counted. But Dean Evason decided not to challenge it. I can understand in some respects his decision not to challenge. First of all, the call on the ice was no goal. Okay, therefore, it would have had to have been clear, irrefutable evidence that Coyle was pushed into the goaltender for it to be overturned. And we all know the Jackets have not been lucky at all when it comes to this sort of thing. If the challenge fails, they are penalized and shorthanded in a 1-goal game. I get that part of it. But I think Dean should have challenged it anyway. He got the same looks at the video that I got. And to me, it was cut and dry. Plus, it's early in the season, okay? Let's take some risks here. Look what happened because he didn't. The Islanders scored 2 goals in the last minute or so, and they win the game. Wouldn't have been any worse if the call was challenged and Toronto decided to overturn it. Granted, I know Evason didn't know this. Hindsight is 20/20. I get it. But I still think he should have challenged it. It potentially cost them the game. The Islanders scored 2 quick ones to win it. So instead of being up 3-1, the Jackets lose 3-2. Once again, like the Nashville game I talked about last time, the first game of the season for the Jackets, due to a poor call by the referees, a game goes against the Jackets. We just can't seem to ever catch any breaks. Ever. The Jackets have to be the most unlucky team ever. And I will get more into that comment later. But something else interesting about the Islanders game. Did you see the shot of Elvis on the bench after the game? On the verge of tears. I admit freely that I have never been the biggest Elvis Merzlikins fan. I admit that as recently as the last episode, I was happy with the idea of him being traded. But there are 2 things I cannot argue about him. Number 1, he's an emotional guy and he hates losing. Number 2, he has played exceptionally well so far this season. He is the only reason the Jackets weren't blown out of the water that night against the Islanders. Hopefully, the boys gave him some hugs, talked him back up, and hopefully he comes in next game ready to kick some butt and stop some pucks. All right. The next game after the Islanders was, of course, against the Calgary Flames. Here's what I expected. I expected the Jackets to be ticked. They were outplayed by the Islanders. They had a goal called off that should have counted. They should have won that game. They allowed 2 goals in the last minute and a half to lose it. I expected them to come out with a fire under their butts. Well, they did not. They went out and allowed 2 goals in the first minute of play. What in the actual heck was that all about? They ended up losing 5-1 against the team with the worst record in the NHL. Is 5-1 considered a blowout? I'm not sure like what qualifies as a blowout, but considering it was the Flames, I'm calling it a blowout. They got blown out by the team with the worst record in the NHL. Right after the debacle against the Islanders. So it made the loss even worse. So why are the Jackets where they are now? Here's my take on it. Okay? And when I say where they are now, I mean where they are this season in the standings, how they're doing. First of all, players are not stepping up. Players are flat out underperforming. Here's my list of players who have shown me they are consistently giving their all this season. Players who seem to actually care. Not including Elvis and Jet, who have been great. Okay? We have Kirill Marchenko, Charlie Coyle, maybe Miles Wood, maybe Matthew Olivier, maybe Jake Christensen. And I know Jake hasn't done much, but I don't think he has truly underperformed as the 7th defenseman on this team. Everyone else, they can just go pound sand, all right? You are ticking me off. Last season, the Jackets had a lot of players who had career years. So I expected a couple of them to take a step back. I did. I understood that. I thought it was unreasonable to expect the same level 2 years in a row. But not this many. Let me throw some info at you to prove my point. Our number 1 center, Sean Monahan, 1 goal through 13 games, 6 points total. And that's playing alongside Kirill Marchenko. Our number 2 center, Adam Fantilli, who potted over 30 goals last season, supposedly a breakout season. 2 goals, 6 points. So our top 2 centers have a combined 3 goals so far. That is pathetic. That is not going to cut it. Those are not the stats of a playoff team centers. I love Adam Fantilli, but he needs to wake up, okay? We as fans were so happy when he fell into our laps at the draft. And I remember how everyone said that in any other draft, he would be a number 1 overall pick. Well, does he look like a number one overall pick in his 3rd season? Currently, he does not. Plenty of time to turn things around, and let's not forget that he did lose half a season due to injury. But it still makes me shake my head when you see what Macklin Celebrini is doing right away with the Sharks. Kent Johnson, 25 goals last year. He has 2 goals so far this season. Hasn't scored in I don't know how many games. On pace for 13 total, I think. Zach Werenski, Norris candidate last season. Is there anyone out there right now who thinks he currently looks like a Norris caliber defenseman? I'm not saying he's playing poorly, but he is certainly not Norris caliber right now. Something has just seemed off about him this season, and I can't put my finger on it. Matthew Olivier scored 18 goals last season. He has 1 this season. Now, okay, admittedly, I don't think anyone, including myself, expected him to duplicate that. Expected him to duplicate that kind of offensive production from last season. But it is still worth noting that he has also taken a step back offensively. But I would argue he's still putting forth the effort and is, just back to playing his normal level of offense. The bottom line is that all these players who we hoped would take another step in the right direction have not. In fact, I would say they've gone the complete opposite way. And there's more of them than anticipated. Even though, as a longtime fan of this franchise, I should have seen it coming. I mean, let's talk about the team expectation as a whole, all right? Let's look at 2 teams, the Blue Jackets and the Montreal Canadiens. Both teams were fighting for a playoff spot last season. Both teams were considered on the rise. The Habs only finished 2 points ahead of the Jackets in the final standings, I think, if I remember correctly. Now, look at how Montreal has done this season compared to how the Jackets have done. One team has taken another step forward. One team has taken a step, maybe several steps back. One team came out of the gate ready to prove themselves. One team came out flat. And this is one of the most frustrating things to me. All right. Why are other teams showing marked improvement, but the Jackets are not? Look at the Ducks and the Sharks. The Ducks, they're suddenly leading the Pacific Division. They finished below the Jackets in the standings last season. Leo Carlsson has turned it up a notch. And the Sharks, okay, they're still pretty low in the standings, I admit it. But you can just see they're a team on the rise. Celebrini is the real deal. He and Smith are going to, they make for some exciting hockey. They have breathed life into the Sharks. And there's an air of hope surrounding that team. What do you say, Jackets fans? Can you say that the Jackets make you feel that way? That there's this air of hope surrounding the team? Do you get the feeling that they're a team on the rise based on how they played so far this year? It's making last year seem like an anomaly. I can't help but have the feeling that we're just stuck in mediocrity again. And frankly, I am so tired of it. I'm tired of supporting the same thing year in and year out. When is it going to be our time? When is it going to be the season that they come out of the gates in full force and show the league that they're a team to be reckoned with now? They did not go away. Last year was not a fluke. When is that going to happen? When will we have what Montreal has? What needs to change? And by the way, I'm tired of talking about that too. I'm tired of talking about what needs to change. Do the fans of the top teams in the NHL, talk about what needs to change year in and year out? No. No, their teams consistently have success. It's only teams like the Jackets, and there are a few others, admittedly, who every single season have the same discussions among fans. What needs to be done to bring about a change so that this team can finally achieve sustained success? As a fan of the Hartford Whalers and now the Blue Jackets, I have unfortunately been asking this for 40 years of watching NHL hockey. I can't give you a definite answer, but I do have some ideas. I love Dean Evison, but he needs to wake up now. His team was on a 4-game winning streak, and what does he do? He changes up the lines. He screws with the chemistry. He puts Miles Wood on line 2 and demotes KJ to line 4. And then he benches Chinnikov. The team is 4-2 with Chinny in the lineup, by the way. Now, do I agree that KJ needs to be better? Absolutely. That maybe he needed a message sent to him? Absolutely. How about scratching him for a game? Putting him on the 4th line is not going to help him snap out of his offensive funk. I mean, let me state for the record, okay? On no playoff team is Miles Wood a second line forward. I appreciate what Wood brings to the team. I really do. I like him a lot more than I thought I would. When they first made that trade with the Avalanche, I was not completely thrilled. But I like what he brings to the team. But he does not need to be on our second line. Not when you have Johnson and Chinnikov available. To me, that's just a poor coaching decision. Okay? Putting him on the 4th line next to Lundestrom and Aston Reese. How many goals do they have this year? 0. If they can't put the puck in the net, then Johnson is not playing with players to support him. I don't know. All right. Well, let me move on here. I also want to say regarding Wood on the second line. Not when you have Johnson and Chinnikov available. All right. I don't know. That just irritates me. I also think it's time to maybe move Boone Jenner off of the second line. Now, he's still a valuable member of the team, but not on the second line. Okay, he's been slow. He's made some mistakes, some giveaways, some bad coverage. Yeah. So I would love to see what Chinnikov, Fantilli, and Johnson could do on a line together. Regardless of who you put there in his stead, move Boone down. Move him to the 3rd line. Remove Aston Reese from the lineup. Now you have at least optimized your lines. But is that enough? Let's say Dean Evison does what I'm suggesting here. Is that enough? My thought, unfortunately, is no. As currently constructed, this roster, after an anomaly last season, is not set up to challenge for a playoff spot. Now, if you go back and listen to my season preview, I stated this. I said the Jackets were not going to make the playoffs this year. I hoped they would. I hoped I was wrong. But it certainly seems so far, and I know it's early, that I'm going to be correct here. And I'm well aware that they currently have a winning record. They're 7-6. But let me remind you that currently the last place team in the Metro sits at 500. Being 1 game above that is not going to cut it. Some bold moves need to happen, and I hope Don Waddell is realizing this. Chinnikov needs to be traded. I don't want him to be. I like him, and I would rather him stay a Blue Jacket, but he has obviously fallen out of favor with Coach Evison, and that relationship seems to be irreparable. And the thing is, his value is not going to get any higher being healthy scratched every night. Play Chinnikov. Play him. Give him a chance to showcase his talents. Give other teams a chance to see what he brings to the table, what his potential is, what he's capable of. Maximize your trade value. And when you find a trade partner, I may catch a lot of flack for saying this, but maybe include Kent Johnson in the deal. Yeah, I said it. I like KJ, but something seems to be holding his development back. Remember when JVR came in last season and he predicted that KJ was going to be a superstar? I don't see that happening here. He just doesn't seem to fit the Blue Jackets style. He gets pushed off pucks way too easily. Like, easier than any player I can remember. So I'm not saying dump him for nothing. But if he can help you bring in a top-notch, top six winger by including him in a trade, I say you do it. This is his 4th season. I expected more from someone drafted as high as he was at this point in his career. I know players can take a while to develop. I get that. But for me, I see it as he's already had his sophomore slump time. Last year should have been his coming out party. Excuse me. Last year should have been his coming out party. This year should have been another step forward. Not this massive step back that we see. And again, I like him. All right, I like KJ. I love his vision. I love his creativity. But it's just not working. So when things aren't working, you have to do something about it. And if nothing can be done internally, then you have to look externally. Bring in someone via trade that can develop chemistry with him and push him to step up his game. Or use his potential and bring back a high-profile player in return. I have read online a number of people who are suggesting the Jackets trade for Jason Robertson. Ask yourself, would you trade Chinnikov, Kent Johnson, and maybe a prospect or draft pick for Jason Robertson? At this point, I certainly would. We need some kind of infusion of offensive energy into our lineup, and that could be it. Additionally, I would love to see a trade that ships out a defenseman for a new one. But with the contract situations of our current defensemen, I think that would be hard to do. Another thing that I would like to see happen, I would like to see Boone Jenner willingly give up the C. Give it to Zach Werenski. In my opinion, Boone's time has come and gone as team captain. If you listen to his post-game interviews, it's the same company line every time. We need to be better. We ran into a tough team tonight. No. Let's see some fire. Let's see you lead by example. Let's see you show that you are ticked off with the losing. When Boone was out last year, Zach put the team on his back. So let's see if a new leader in the locker room would translate to better success on the ice. So that's my rant about the Jackets' current state of affairs. Sorry, I took a drink there. Now, the title of this episode is the unluckiest team ever. It really does baffle me that here we are in 2025 and the Jackets are still just a mediocre team. And it baffles me how much luck has played a part in it. So I wanted to take the time, especially for any listeners out there who are not Blue Jackets fans. Like, I know my dad listens to the podcast sometimes, and he's a Rangers fan. So, especially for people like him who've tuned in for pure morbid curiosity, I want to explain why I think the Jackets have had the worst luck of any team in the last quarter century. Let's start off by looking at their best regular season ever. The 2016-2017 Blue Jackets finished with 108 points. Their only season to ever finish over 100 points. It was good enough for the fourth best record in the entire NHL. Fourth best. Yet, as luck would have it, they still managed to finish third in their division. What team could possibly finish with the fourth best record in the NHL and not get home ice advantage in the playoffs? Only a team as unlucky as the Jackets. Needless to say, the first round of that playoff series did not go well for the Jackets. 25 years in the league, only advancing past the first round of the playoffs once. So that would kind of suggest they haven't been the best of teams, right? A team with little success, right? Well, how many times has this team of very little success ever won the NHL draft lottery? 0. That's not even bad luck. That's just rotten luck right there. They have only had the number 1 draft pick once in their history, and that's when they traded for it and got Rick Nash. Just bad flipping luck. Now, I'm going to get a little morbid here, and I apologize, but I hope you understand I'm just doing it to illustrate how unlucky this team is. In 25 years, the Blue Jackets have lost not one, but 2 players. They've also lost 1 owner and even one of their young fans due to an accident at the arena. I'm, of course, referring to Johnny Gaudreau and Matiss Kivlenieks. Mr. McConnell, the beloved first majority owner of the team, and Brittany Cecil, the young girl who was killed when a puck deflected into the stands and hit her. She is the main reason why we see the netting around the ice surfaces at arenas today. May they all rest in peace. But seriously, what other team has had to endure such tragedy, such loss and heartache? There are none. Only a team as unlucky as the Blue Jackets. You would think that at some point in 25 years, the Jackets would have a true offensive superstar on their roster. And I mean, well, let me first tell you my definition. My definition of a offensive superstar, I would call someone an offensive superstar if they finish in the top 10 in league scoring multiple times. Okay, so not just a fluke, not just a one-time fluke, but more than once. Just by pure luck, you would think a draft pick would overachieve and become that player. Yet it has not happened in 25 years. Nick Foligno was the only Blue Jacket to ever finish in the top 10 in league scoring. He did it in 2014-2015. He finished tied for 10th. And guess how many points he had? 73. That's it. It was a low scoring year, I guess. Not exactly superstar numbers, if you ask me. Actually, if you ask me, I would tell you that was just a weird fluke season where Jamie Benn had the most points in the league with 87. That's it. So what I'm getting at is that the Jackets can't even luck into drafting a superstar, even a surprise one, like Kirill Kaprizov. He was drafted in the 5th round. That was pretty darn lucky for the Minnesota Wild. Nobody expected that to happen. 25 years of draft picks, and not one of them has blossomed into an offensive superstar for this team. You could argue with me that Rick Nash and even Zach Werenski are superstars offensively. But again, I'm talking about strictly offense. First of all, in my definition, is that they finish in the top 10 in league scoring multiple seasons. For all Rick Nash did, he never finished in the top 10 in league scoring. I actually did the research on this a while back, and I discovered that there was only one team in the NHL who had 0 players finish in the top 10 in scoring in the last 25 years. Remember, I said the Jackets have had 1 with Nick Foligno. Well, one team had 0, and that was the Montreal Canadiens. With Cole Caulfield popping off this season, that looks like that might change. And as for Werenski, you can call him an offensive talent, even though he's a defenseman. But I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think the highest he's ever been in league scoring was in the 20s, like 23 or something like that. But I'd have to look that up. I have no data to back this up, but I believe the Jackets have had the most goals overturned than any other team in the league this season, but also maybe in the last 25 years. They have been on the wrong end of so many calls, it is unbelievable. From goaltender interference to goals called back due to offsides, it is stunning how many goals have been taken away from the Jackets. And remember that Wes Walz goal? If you don't know what I'm talking about, look that up. Wes Walz. Yeah, that was insane. And just this season, I want to say that the count stands at 6, if I'm counting the no-goal call against the Islanders. Just unbelievable bad luck. It truly is uncanny. It just seems like this team is always battling something. We can't catch any breaks at all. I mean, look at the games this season. How many times have you watched a game and thought to yourself, wow, the Jackets got a few lucky bounces there? I don't remember any. I watch almost every game. I don't remember any. But I do remember thinking, wow, the other team got a couple of lucky bounces there. It's almost like the team is immune to good luck. And that's my take. The Jackets are the most unlucky team in the last 25 years. They can't get any luck with officiating. They can't get any luck with injuries. They can't get any luck with draft picks. And yes, I am well aware that this team has drafted plenty of good, solid NHL players. High caliber NHL players. But no, knock your socks off superstars like, I don't know, like a Cale Makar or currently a Macklin Celebrini. And for every Oliver Bjorkstrand or Cam Atkinson or even Denton Matejchuk that you argue has worked out, I can counter it with the likes of Gilbert Brulé, Alex Picard, David Juracek even, Kirby Reichel, Marco Dano. Dano? I can't remember if it was Dano or Dano. I think it was Dano. Oh, how about Nikita Filatov? Remember him? Or Liam Foodie, John Moore, even Ryan Murray. Yeah, you would think the Jackets would have gotten lucky with one of those number one picks becoming superstars. But none of them ever did. I guess Juracek still has a chance, but certainly not with the Jackets, of course. Excuse me again. So what do you think? Am I way off here? Or am I correct in stating that the Blue Jackets are the most unlucky NHL team in the last 25 years? What has gone their way? Even when things go their way, like their 108-point season, they still manage to get crapped on. Now, even broader picture here, but it further baffles me that not only has Ohio's only NHL team not experienced much success, but neither has the Browns, Bengals, Reds, or Indians/Guardians. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the major four Ohio sports team to win a championship in the last 25 years. So if you are a fan of, not just the Jackets, but also one of those Ohio teams, I feel for you. I don't follow baseball, so I don't have a favorite team. My favorite football team, growing up in New England, it's the Patriots. So they have been very good to me in the last 25 years. However, I have said it many, many times, I would gladly give back every single one of the Patriots Super Bowls for just one Blue Jackets Stanley Cup. My pro sports love is 95% Blue Jackets, 5% Patriots. Yeah. Before I go, there was a little news that came across the web here. It looks like Sean Monahan is injured because the Jackets have called up Luca Del Bel Blues. So what does that mean? Well, obviously it means Monahan might not be able to play. But I may be reading too far into this, but it also means to me that since they didn't just call up some random dude who they can just keep on the bench. I mean, Luca Del Bel Blues, he is a potential top 6 player. That means they don't have the plan to just boost up Chinnikov to the top 6 like I hope they would. So yeah, so we'll see how this goes. Based on everything I just told you, I don't foresee it going very well. I certainly hope that I eat crow. I certainly hope that the Jackets turn things around, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But when you're a fan of a team for so long, and have just seen the same thing year after year, you become kind of numb to it, and you just kind of expect things to go poorly. Anyway, that will do it for this week. I feel like I have complained enough for now. So thank you for tuning in to this episode. I will try to come back. I've been trying to do this bi-monthly, like twice a month, but this past month pneumonia hit me and I was not close to wanting to do podcasting. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll come back in about 2 weeks and have better news for you. So in the meantime, feel free to reach out, connect with me. You can find me at the handle Whaler Jacket on social media sites like Instagram and Blue Sky. Or you can send me an email, whalerjacket@gmail.com. I welcome all your comments, questions, and suggestions. Again, the whole reason I do this podcast is because I love talking about the Blue Jackets. It gives me an outlet to talk about them. I really don't have anybody around here that I can just chat with about the Jackets. Nobody I work with is a big Blue Jackets fan. None of my, even in my beer league, my hockey team, there's not many people who talk about the Jackets. So this is my outlet. So feel free, reach out to me. Hope to see you next time on Boom and Gloom. Until then, go Jackets.